Hey guys, thanks for joining me for this 63rd episode in Season 2 of Good Questions with Cameron Dole. Special guests in this episode include former NFL lineman, now with WWE, got a brand new series we'll be talking about with wrestler AJ Francis. We'll also talk with actress Yasha Jackson, got a new movie that's available now, Killer Among Us. We'll also visit with Governor Scott Walker about the Young America's Foundation, and country singer and friend of the show, Raleigh Keegan, will be talking about his upcoming single next week, plus upcoming album and the current releases he's got out now. Of course, if you would, please take the time to subscribe, comment, leave some feedback, check out the shop, and of course share with your friends. Now, during this past year, have you found yourself needing to find little things to make yourself happy, and even just to get you through the day? Well, a new survey asked people what simple pleasures in life make them the happiest. And here are the top 10. Number 1, listening to your favorite songs. Number 2, a nice dinner. Number 3, watching your favorite movie. Number 4, finishing a good book. Number 5, doing exercise. Number 6, spotting a bird you've never seen before. What? Number 7, seeing flowers and trees blossoming. Number 8, wearing clothes that make you feel good. Number 9, home cooking. And number 10, getting a match on a dating site. Former NFL player, now in the WWE, got an upcoming series to talk about, WWE's Most Wanted Treasures. We've got AJ Francis on the line with us, and first off, AJ, appreciate you taking some time.
No, thank you for having me, man. I've only ever been to Oklahoma City one time, but it was for a tour I went on for my music and my wrestling. Back before I even got to WWE, it was in a bar, and it was a hell of a time. You guys know how to throw one hell of a party.
Well, we try, AJ. Now, talk about throwing a heck of a party. The WWE being a part of that. I mean, how much of a party is that? Well, once you learn the ropes, right?
Yeah, I mean, I grew up a huge WWE fan, so it was really cool to me. I knew from just traveling and covering and following the product for so many years that because I played in the NFL, whenever I wanted a WWE tryout, I would get one. So I, waited till my career ended, and then I did the right training, and I had one tryout. And you ask anybody, I mean, you got guys like Keith Lee, who's an NXT champion. He's on the main roster right now, and he had 3 different tryouts before he got hired. It's very rare that people get hired on their first tryout. So it was a blessing to finally be able to live out my dream, and then I get the opportunity to host this show, and it's like, okay, well, this is the coolest thing I've ever done.
Now, for you, AJ, what was the hardest part of getting shape from NFL to WWE for you?
Well, you have situations like, in the NFL, you got to be good to go for 4 hours. But I played D-line, so, you got to be good to go for 4 hours, but you're doing 5 seconds at a time, 7 seconds at a time, then you get 30 seconds break. And WWE, any type of professional wrestling ain't like that. You got to be able to go, 12, 15, 20, 30 minutes straight, which is a completely different type of cardio. So, it took a while to, change how my body recovered from doing these kind of things. But once I got it after a couple months, it hasn't been a problem.
Now, AJ, what was the first actual wrestling move that you learned, and how long did it actually take you to get it down?
Well, this is going to come off sounding kind of braggy, but honestly, after playing in the NFL, I tell people I train kids that are in high school, and their parents are like, well, I want my son to make it to the NFL. What can he do? And I'd be like, if he can make it to the NFL, he already can. There's not you don't have to do anything else. It's about being a special enough athlete to compete with, 1,800 of the greatest athletes on earth. So when I got into professional wrestling, pretty much every move I ever learned, I got it on the first or second try. But the thing that it really took me a full day of doing it to learn was how to bump, and that was a terrible day.
Now we mentioned in passing a moment ago about the upcoming series, the WWE's Most Wanted Treasures, and you know that with a name like that, it could go a bunch of different ways. I want to give you an opportunity to explain what kind of wanted treasures we're looking for.
Man, it always depends on the legend that we're working with, because Ric Flair is very iconic for his robes. So for the Ric Flair episode, we're trying to go around and if we can find any of his robes that people are willing to get rid of, because a lot of people don't know this. Rick has a robe in the Smithsonian. And so if it's important enough for it to be displayed in the Smithsonian in D.C., someone who has it in their basement is not really willing to give it up. You know what I'm saying?
That's going to cost you.
It always, it's going to run you some ducats to sell, no doubt about it. So the problem that we come across a lot of times is sometimes the collectors don't have any idea what their item is valued for, and that can go both ways. What they think it's worth is not as much as we're willing to, give for an item, and sometimes what they think it's worth is nowhere near what we'd be willing to pay for it. So it's always fun to, every situation is different for every superstar. So that's one thing I like about the show is no matter what episode you watch, it won't be like any other one, because every collector's different. All the items are different. Where we have to go is always different. I mean, I racked up more Sky Miles and hotel points in 2020 in the year of that we were all supposed to be staying home than I ever did in any other year.
Now, was there anyone that you went on the episode with that you really had to keep yourself from geeking out more than any other? Was it Rick?
I'm not going to lie. So the first superstar, because we shot a couple days without any legends before I ever got there, just to stuff for me before the legends ever got there. And the first person I shoot with is The Undertaker. And, my first day in WWE in the Performance Center, I walk in and it's open ring, and I'm allowed to train with anybody I want on open ring. And I walk in and there's a clown around the middle ring, and I'm like, what's going on? And I look and I see Undertaker has on boots and knee pads, and I'm like, okay, I know where I'm training. So my first ever day at the Performance Center, I'm training with The Undertaker. And, we had a good day. He gave me a lot of compliments. It was really satisfying to hear that The Undertaker approved of, how I worked and whatnot. And then, a couple months later, I get picked to go. I show up to the scenes the first day, and I walk up, and he's like, oh, hey, AJ, what's up? And he remembers who I was. And, I couldn't show it on the outside because I was trying to look cool and professional, but on the inside, I melted like butter.
That's awesome. Now, the upcoming series, WWE's Most Wanted Treasures, premieres this weekend. And AJ, I want to make sure and let our listeners know where to find more info about the show and also everything you got going social media-wise as well.
Yeah, you can follow me on social media, all social media at AJ Francis 410. Once again, that's AJ Francis 410. The show's Instagram and Twitter is Treasures WWE. So, everything there is going to be every Sunday, from here for the next couple of months. It's really cool to have been a part of such a unique project and given the opportunity to help be the one to try to reclaim the legacies of these legends. Because if you don't know why they're legends, then this show is perfect for you to understand why. And if you already know that they're legends, you're going to appreciate this show so much to be able to get an inside look in the way that you see people you've never seen before. You've never seen The Undertaker the way that you're going to see The Undertaker on this show. And that goes for every single legend we have on this show.
That's awesome. Again, it premieres this Sunday at 10 Eastern, 9 local time on A&E. WWE's Most Wanted Treasures. AJ, it's been great to visit with you this morning, my friend. Hope we can catch up again real soon, brother.
No doubt. Thank you, guys.
Want to thanks for our podcast sponsor for today, Smiley's Breezy Vapes. They're located at 313 Falcon Road in Altus, Oklahoma. They have bread basket specials when you stop in. If you need new hardware, any questions that you might have, they've got all the know-how and they will be willing to help you as well. They've got the largest selection of disposable flavors in Southwest Oklahoma. That's Smiley's Breezy Vapes. 580-471-VAPE. Now, the Washington football team is still searching for a permanent name, even if that does end up being the Washington football team. Now, according to local reporters and season ticket holders, the team is sending out surveys and asking fans to weigh in on potential names. And they're casting a very wide net. In fact, fans are getting different lists of choices. Now, the team's president recently said he doesn't think anything is off the table except Redskins, I assume, as long as the name isn't messy or embarrassing, but some of the options do seem embarrassing. In no particular order, they include the Washington Aces, the First City Football Club, FCFC, the Washington Archers, the Washington Beacons, the Washington Belters, the Washington Red Tails, the Washington Razorbacks, the Washington Defenders, the Washington Football Teams, the Washington Griffins, the Washington Warriors, the Washington Armada, the Washington Rising, the Washington Swifts, and number 15 I'm going to share with you is the Washington Commanders. So yeah, there's a lot of different lists going around, still no official name, so for now, it's still the Washington football team.
A brand new film to talk about, Killer Among Us. If you haven't seen the trailers or the previews, well, you might not have to watch them after we get done. Yasha Jackson on the line with us. And first off, Yasha, thank you so much for taking the time.
Oh, thank you so much, Cameron.
Now, tell our listeners a little bit about Killer Among Us. I mean, this seems like a nonstop, intense ride of a movie.
Oh, my goodness. It is. Killer Among Us is a thriller. It's a murder. It's really murderous. It's really dark. It's really tonally. It's not heavy. It's just intense. And basically, Killer Among Us stars myself, Yasha Jackson, which you just said, and I play Alicia Parks, who is a young Black rookie cop in an all-white, all-male precinct, and I'm trying to get my captain to go on the ride of a lifetime with me because I have a hunch. It's 4th of July weekend. And while I'm out at the store, I see an exchange that rubs me the wrong way, involving a young Black girl. And it doesn't feel right. It doesn't sit right with me. And I go back to work and I try to get the entire precinct on board to see if there's something more to this exchange I saw with this young Black girl and this older white gentleman. And they're thinking that I'm being sensitive, that they're sort of gaslighting me a little bit. They think that I'm just being, too cautious. And so on my own, I have to go and find evidence to bring it back so that we can get some resources behind this to save the day, to save this girl's life, and come to find out that it was more to the story, that she isn't just a prostitute, which she is. So we go on this extraordinary journey, exhausting, thrilling, action-filled. There's even a little bit of a horror. There's a little horror in it. You'll see. It's crazy. So we go on this journey to find a serial killer. And this serial killer, Cameron, is a radicalized serial killer. So he's been listening to propaganda. He's been on the internet and he gets these views. And because of his views, he's kidnapping young Black girls because he believes that no one's going to look for them. We have this wonderful scene, me and Bruce, who plays Gorbachi in the film, who's my captain. He explains to me that there was a serial killer in the 70s who was targeting Black prostitutes. And they coined this phrase, they legitimized the phrase called NHI. So they will call a victim an NHI, which stands for no human involved. So
Wow.
these victims were not human. So they would not put any resources towards finding these girls because they weren't valued in society. So this serial killer is targeting NHIs, quote unquote, because he knows that he can get away with it. But we'll see if he gets away with it, though.
I know, right?
We'll see.
Now, Yasha, for you, as you prepared for the role, and did it maybe open your eyes to some of the behind the scenes things that cops have to deal with on a daily basis? It maybe a little eye opening for you as well?
Yeah. Because at the same time, I was also filming Blue Bloods.
Right.
So I was playing two cops at the same time. And it made me more sensitive because you have this idea, especially if you watch the news, you have this idea that, cops take on this bullish, brutish, like heartless, they're just, they're not really portrayed in the best light right now.
Right.
So me putting on that uniform every day and filming between CBS, Blue Bloods, and this, and also I live right next door to a precinct here in Harlem. I live in Harlem. I know. Isn't that crazy?
You were made for the role.
I was made for it, baby. And we would have these amazing conversations. And I just fell in love with cops because they put their life on the line, and nobody's perfect, and people make mistakes, but they put their life on the line to make sure that we're safe. So I learned that it's not so black and white, law enforcement and how much you can actually do. Like when I was playing Alicia, I had to get other people involved, even though I'm looked at as the police officer. Mm-hmm. I don't have the authority. I don't have the authority to make those decisions. So I learned a lot. I had gained a more sensitivity for the police because when I was younger, I had a police officer put a gun to my head. I don't even know if anyone in the world even knows this. I don't even know if my father even knows this. So that shaped my experience with the cops. And my twin brother was ran over by the cops. My older brother was shot by the cops. My father was locked, was pulled over for, that's my real life experience. So playing a cop, and even my agent being like, "Do you feel comfortable playing a cop?" It was good for me. It was good for me to put that uniform on and understand that it's a really honorable job, and there's gonna be bad apples everywhere you go.
That is right now.
Okay.
Yeah, and for you, as we've all dealt with so many things over this last 12 months, and we've had to look inward a little bit, what, Yasha, have you really pinpointed that you've really been working on over the last year?
Ooh, honestly, my faith. I'm also a preacher person. I preach and I teach, and I love God. I go to a church of like artists and actors and dancers, and it's interesting because we're here in New York, and a lot of my friends are on Broadway, and a lot of my friends are on Broadway, and they're in this world. So with everything paused, I just got closer to God and got some peace, because when all the things that make you feel like yourself are not there, like you're not filming, you're not shooting, you're not, and still by God's grace, we were filming HBO's The Flight Attendant, the show that I'm on, that we got nominated for a Golden Globe. We got a season 2. I'm shooting The Bold Type in Canada, shooting this new series coming to stars called Run the World. We're shooting this rom-com with Lucy Howe, and I've been filming the whole time, but I wanted to not be identified by that. Oh, are you working? Are you doing well in life? Just to have peace. So for the last 12 months, just to get more balance in my life, because when the phone ain't ringing, can you still have joy? When you're not jet setting around the world, are you still you? Do you still have value? So just getting to that peaceful place.
Well, that's good stuff. And again, the new movie, Killer Among Us. Yasha, I want to make sure and let folks know if they want more information about the movie. Also, everything you've got going social media wise as well.
Oh, yes. Yasha_Fierce on Instagram. I need to get my Twitter up and popping. So don't go over. If you go to my Twitter, you'll just see, I think the last thing I posted, I was on Black Mirror. So maybe Black Mirror, or I don't know. So that's my, were you at, Did I hear you correctly that you were asking for my social?
Yeah.
Sweet. Okay. I heard a little sound over here. I was like, oh, did I mishear? Did I jump the gun? So Yasha_Fierce. Yasha Fierce on Instagram. That's me.
All right. Well, Yasha, it has been great to visit with you this morning. Looking forward to the movie this evening, and hopefully we can catch up again real soon. Seems like you got a lot going on.
Again, thanks to our friends over at Smiley's Breezy Vapes, 313 Falcon Road here in Altus. They're sponsoring today's podcast, and be sure and stop in and see them. They've got the largest selection of disposable flavors in Southwest Oklahoma. If you need coils, if you need cartridges, any kind of that stuff that you need, stop in and see them. And if you don't have time, give them a call or send a text at 580-471-VAPE. I thought we'd take a moment to share a few of the good news stories that are making the rounds. Maybe you've heard of them, maybe you haven't, but this one happened in January, but video's just going viral, where a high school biology teacher in Maryland named Wendy Franklin was doing a Zoom class and realized all her students were muted with their cameras off. So she was confused for a second until one of them spoke up and said they just wanted to thank her for being so great this year. Then all at once they turned their cameras on and every student was holding up a hand-drawn thank you sign. Oh. In another news, there's an island in the middle of the lake in Kenya that's basically sinking. Now, the water's been rising for years, and a herd of 9 giraffes were living there. So for months, a team had been using a large raft called a giraffe to save them. And this week, they announced that all 9 giraffes have now been relocated off of the sinking island. In other news, a guy near LA went hiking this week and got stranded overnight. Now, he texted a photo to a friend of his legs dangling off a rock overlooking a canyon. Then later he said he was lost and that his phone was dying. So rescuers started searching and posted the photo in case anyone knew the area. And a random guy named Ben Kuo saved the day. Now, Ben has a weird hobby where he enjoys looking at random photos to see if he can figure out where they were taken. So he got to work, figured out the general area, told the cops, and they found the guy. Excited to talk with Governor Scott Walker, and we're going to talk a little bit about Young Americans Foundation, the founding of that, and the work they're doing, plus the goals we've got set. And along with that, Governor Scott Walker, thank you for your time, sir.
Oh, my pleasure. Great to be with you.
Now tell us, Governor, where did the idea come up? What was maybe the initial reason for starting Young Americans Foundation, if you will?
Yeah, well, I'm honored just to be the new leader, but it obviously predates me. You go back to its original roots. William F. Buckley started Young Americans for Freedom, which is the precursor to Young Americans Foundation, in his home in Sharon, Connecticut. And Ronald Reagan was actually one of the earliest leaders. And the idea then, much as it was today, was it was coming in the midst of, at the time, the most contested presidential election, tough times on college campuses, conflicts around the world, the surge of communism, a lot of things that seem pretty similar to where we're at today. And it's grown over the years. We're on now more than 2,000 college and university campuses across America supporting conservative students. And when I came in, and what we really do is train the next generation of America's freedom fighters. But when I came in back in February, I just said what we're doing is great, but we got to do a whole lot more of it, because the left for decades now has been consumed with taking over higher education and even K through 12 education, and of late our culture and even much of our communications through big tech. So we've got to have an aggressive plan. I call it the long game, to counter it, that takes more than just a news cycle, maybe even more than just a presidential cycle, but really does talk about leveling the playing field so that we can get common sense conservative ideas out to the masses, particularly young people.
One of those keywords that we've heard so many times, grassroots movements, and how do you tackle a grassroots movement with the foundation as well, sir?
Well, again, like I said, the nice thing is we're on over 2,000 campuses, but we want to be on all of them. So we know from a grassroots standpoint, this doesn't come from just one office and bringing things down, but rather going to every campus, reaching out to every student, making the case, in some instances, not only winning in the court of public opinion, but where need be in the court of law. One of the biggest challenges we have to organizing and reaching out to young people on campuses is time after time, again, the violations of free speech rights guaranteed in our U.S. Constitution. I think most of us believe they should be reviewed on our college campuses, yet in many cases, they're most at risk. So part of it is where need be, and part of our long game plan is to aggressively go out and invoke the Constitution. Now, we just had a big win of late. We were at the University of California, Berkeley, one of the most liberal campuses in the world. They tried to block some of our speakers from coming in. We took them to court, and they ultimately settled. Why? Because the Constitution's on our side. And so we're going to invoke the Constitution where needed, anywhere and everywhere in the country, to make sure that common sense conservative ideas can be heard and our students can organize.
Governor, do you find it difficult for the age group you're trying to reach because they're so inundated with social media and technology and the news, the news cycle and all that? Do you find it that maybe they're a little bit worn to even the story, regardless of which side it is?
Well, yeah, and what we found conclusively, even this week in another poll that comes out, is that over the last year, students have only become more liberal. High school and college-age students in our polling nationwide have only become more liberal, more progressive, as they would define it. But what we also found, from my point of view, on the bright side of things, is that when you follow up, though, with a piece of factual information about many of these issues, the opinions dramatically change, and they move more towards the center, more towards the right. And I think that's just a reflection that in so many areas, certainly much of the social media, much of the, not just what they're being taught, but what they're hearing in curriculum, what they're seeing in textbooks, what they're getting from college administrators and professors, what they're getting from other sources, is got really not only just one point of view, but it's what you commonly hear called cancel culture. And that's real. And we've had even a number of psychological reports that show that that is real from a conservative standpoint, that students who are just moderate to conservative on campuses, statistically, roughly 80% are afraid to bring their ideas up, not only for fear of a bad grade from their professor, who might be liberal, but even from some of their fellow students. And so, part of our goal is just to advocate for free speech, to advocate for a level playing field. I always thought growing up, and I was taught, that education, be it K through 12 or in college, should be a place to challenge people's ideas, to get the full spectrum, to be exposed to different ideas and views, and then, to formulate where you go from there, to be taught how to think critically. Well, sadly, we're not seeing that all too often in our schools and our campuses. And that's a big part of our push, is to level the playing field, because then we believe in the strength of our arguments that if we're able to make our case, that anyone, but particularly young people, will gravitate towards our point of view.
And you mentioned cancel culture. That's another one of those phrases that we hear everywhere. What kind of a long-term effect does cancel culture, in your eyes, pay to a lot of folks think of the entertainment industry being affected, but there's a trickle down with that as well.
Well, it really is. And if you only hear, it's like anything in life. If you only hear one point of view, that's the way you're going to go. Just anybody thinking about this logically in our own minds. I'll give you a non-political example. This isn't necessarily cancel culture, but it makes the point. If you grow up in a city or town where everybody's a fan of a particular sports team, you're going to likely be a fan of that sports team. Why? Because you don't know any different. Or part of it is, because you join in with your family and your friends and other influences. But that's a great reminder that, somebody who lives in Dallas probably isn't going to be, a New York Giants fan. Somebody who lives in Chicago is not going to be a Green Bay Packers fan, and so forth. There's some exceptions to that, obviously. But that's what happens even more so here, when in schools and certainly in college campuses, when all you hear is one point of view. Study after study has showed that, the most endangered species in a college campus is a conservative professor. There's just data increasingly shows that there's for all the talk of diversity in other areas, the one area of diversity there's little or none of on a college campus is ideological. And so it's just a matter of time that if everybody going to college, if increasingly people going to school only hear one point of view, that's the cancel culture. And not only, it's actually even more than just only hearing one point of view. If those who have a different point of view are basically prohibited or blocked from getting their point of view out, and then that's what cancel culture is. It's not even just bias. It's worse than that. It's saying not only are these campus biased in terms of the professors, but they're blocking anybody with an alternative point of view from even being able to speak out.
And you also mentioned earlier the long game and the ideas, the plans that you have set for America's future to keep it bright for the coming generations. I want to give you an opportunity to kind of break down the long game, or maybe just the main points in your mind.
Yeah, long game. In fact, if people want a million, absolutely free copy of it today, yaf.org/long game. We'll send you a copy, but it's 12 action points. It's everything from getting onto every campus, over 4,000 in America, to dramatically increasing the number of speakers, to adding 1 million more students to participate in our programs, dramatically increasing our YouTube presence to over 1 billion views and 5 million subscribers on YAF TV, the YouTube channel we have. But to other things going beyond just college, going into high school, going into junior high with preteens, where we know that's where young people start to make really critical decisions about their beliefs going forward. They don't just wait till college, so we've got to start sooner. And in some cases, providing support for the parents, even as young as elementary school, to counter a lot of the curriculum we see that sadly is teaching far too many of our students to hate America, to somehow believe there's something inherently wrong with the founding of this country, as opposed to learning objective history about the things that have happened and how this country has grown throughout the decades. Those are all the things we're doing, plus the push for fighting for free speech on every campus, in every school, in every part of this country, and not only supporting parents and students, but along with it, supporting conservative and even objective educators who just want support and who, just like our students, feel intimidated. So the long game is about not just engaging in the battle of the day, but really winning the war for the heart and soul of this great republic.
And Governor, this last 12 months, it seems like the emotions and the mentality of folks are just on the edge at a breaking point. And for you, how much more important is sharing that with a younger audience? Yeah, two important things. One, overall, I think it's really important for all of us, whether you're in politics or any other area of life, to teach and stress and live respect. It's one of the things. My kids are 25 and 26. It's one of the things my wife and I, from they were very young on, tried to teach them was respect. It's important in political battles. It's important in business. It's important in relationships, particularly having two boys when they were dating. One of the key things was teaching them to be respectful of the people they were dating with and friends with. I just don't think there's enough of that. And sadly, we see the disrespect that many see in politics and on social media in particular. The second thing is, and this really goes to the heart of our message in the long game, certainly we're conservatives, but we stress the contrast between, sadly, too often, many on the left are pushing division, that if you don't agree with them, they immediately label you. There's awful things that you're a Neanderthal, you're a racist, sexist, transphobic, whatever it might be, as opposed to just having debate on the issues. They try to immediately brand people and pit one group of Americans versus the other. I argue to young people, our message as conservatives should be upbeat and positive and simple. We love America, and part of the reason we love America is because of the freedom and opportunity uniquely available here. We want that available not only for ourselves and our family, we want our neighbor and their families to have those same opportunities and freedoms that were ingrained in our Constitution, endowed by our Creator, and something we need to continue to fight for every single day. And we also talked the last 12 months, everybody having those issues, but everybody's had a chance to kind of look inwardly. And for you, Governor, what has maybe been the thing that has been maybe a light bulb moment for the future goals or future projects as well?
Well, certainly for me personally, just the reinforcing this last year, the importance of faith, family, and friends, as well as our overall freedom. So it keeps with, I guess, alliteration there, but understanding that as trying as things are, God's always got a greater plan than we can ever imagine. When I think about my grandparents who were born at the beginning of the last century, and all that their generation went through, 2 world wars, a depression, globally, a Holocaust, all the other things that were happening in Korea and Vietnam. And I just look and say they survived. They made it through. And so there's no reason why we can't make it through here. God has always got a greater plan than we can ever imagine going forward. I think the other part is just to the point I was just making previously, which is we've got to have an aspirational message. Yeah, we need to fight on specific issues and battle on those. But overall, we should be happy warriors. This is a great country. There's a reason why more than 1 million people legally immigrate here every year. There's a reason why the next closest country is 4 times fewer foreign-born citizens. There's a reason why, even as tragic as the border crisis is we see on our southern border, it does remind us the lengths at which people will go to come to the United States. It can't be because of the rhetoric that we hear from some on the left that we're some awful, awful place, or why would people being risk their lives and those of their families to come here?
That's right. Now, Governor, if folks want to find more information about Young America's Foundation, and like you mentioned, the long game as well available, once again, give folks where they can find more information.
That's right. Go to our website, yaf.org, yaf.org/long game if you want that specific copy of that plan. If you're a student, a student in your family wants to be involved and engaged, we'll plug them in, or you just want to help. You're just a concerned citizen wants to help. We hope everyone listening will join us, yaf.org/long game. We'll send you a copy today.
All right. Well, Governor Scott Walker, it has truly been a privilege to have the chance to visit with you today. Appreciate the work that you're doing with the Young Americans Foundation, and hopefully we can catch up again real soon.
Sounds great. Thanks so much for having me on. Appreciate it.
Well, thanks again to our friends at Smiley's Breezy Vapes, 313 Falcon Road. Red Basket specials, hardware, accessories, any of that. They've got all the knowledge and the know-how. Check them out on Facebook or call or text at 580-471-VAPE. Well, maybe have an extra cup of coffee today. Your state needs you. Well, a new study ranked the most and least caffeinated states in America by looking at 3 factors: how much coffee the average person drinks, how much soda they drink, and how often they search for coffee on Google. Now, according to the results, Vermont is really sucking it down, and I guess Delaware is full of morning people who don't need it. Now, the 10 most caffeinated states in America are Vermont, Arizona, Colorado, New Mexico, Hawaii, Idaho, Rhode Island, Oregon, Kansas, and Iowa. Now, the 10 least caffeinated states are Delaware, Maryland, Georgia, New Jersey, New York, Pennsylvania, Nebraska, Virginia, Arkansas, and Michigan. Now, if you look at coffee consumption alone, New Mexico is number 1 at 2.4 cups a day. And for me, I say that's a good start. Our final guest, and man alive, we love having guys back, and so with that, we let him wrap up the show for us today. Our good friend, country singer, songwriter, former footballer, and man alive, he's got all kinds of slashes after his, before his name and after probably too. Raleigh Keegan, always good to see you, brother.
Except not PhD, no master's degree, nothing important like that. Just things like, graduated from high school.
Social media influencer.
Exactly.
Now, Raleigh, what has this last year been like? I mean, and you talked social media, that has got to be one of the top things that's kept a lot of you musicians afloat, right?
Man, it's been everything, I remember the first probably 30 days or so of the pandemic, I went live on Instagram and Facebook every day because I had nothing to do. You know, it was like, it was crazy times. And it's been a crazy year, of course, for everyone, but the entertainment industry, man, got hit like a ton of bricks. And it's been tough. I haven't had a show in a year, but social media, selling merch online, streaming, doing stuff like this has kept me going, both, of course, financially, but emotionally, you know, like just keeping your heart in. I mean, it's been, dude, the whole world's been through it, man. You know, it's been a crazy time.
Now, what's the biggest thing that you pull out of your experience of 2020? Because, I mean, we've all got to learn from what we go through. And, well, we had plenty of time to really look at it, right?
Yeah. Two things. First thing, bourbon and Cheez-Its won't make you happy.
Not forever.
Not forever. No. The big thing for me is patience. Like Nashville is like a game of hurry up and wait, you know, and it's a really tough town. Like people are great. Everybody's great. But like it just in general, the business is hard. So it was really hard to feel like I had a bunch of momentum going into 2020 and had a good first couple months and was making strides. I was about to go back on the road and keep growing, you know, and then the pandemic hit and it was like, got to shift. So I would say, I don't know, man. It felt like God was teaching me to wait, just to, man, it was hard. I can't say that enough. It was really hard. And I didn't do it well all the time, you know, but that's definitely one thing I learned. And then also songwriting, man, like I got gifted a piano and I've always played piano, but I actually own one now. And man, it's changed the game for me. Change the game. All I do is write on the piano now. It's like, it's fun.
Now, what's the difference in the feel of writing on the piano as opposed to the keyboard? Do you really feel like you feel it more? I mean, pianists seem to kind of ascribe to that theory.
Oh, I totally think so. I like, okay, there's something, for example, like real drums versus a fake drum.
Right.
Like you can really feel the difference on a recording. Like, I think the same goes for piano. Like for me, the vibrations and the hammers hitting the strings. I don't know, man. I just get into it. Like it's way more fun than a keyboard to me. And I find that writing on a piano, you get way different melodies when you do it that way, other than guitar. If I get bored with the piano, I pick up the guitar. If I get bored with the guitar, I pick up the piano. And so, man, you don't pick up the piano. What's that?
You don't pick up the piano.
Fair enough. Well, if you're incredibly strong, you do.
Yeah.
Not me.
Now, what's been the biggest songwriting challenge this year for you?
Zoom. But also Zoom has been the greatest blessing because it's like it's way quicker because there's less small talk. And it's like you're sitting from home. If you get a bad song that day, you're still at home. So like there's less pressure. There's less because like if you're going into town, my wife and I live 30, 45 minutes outside of town. And there's less pressure, you know, and that I feel like that really fuels the songwriting when there's just freedom and creativity.
And being a newly-ish wed, I know you guys haven't been married a long, long time. How has this last year been for the newlyweds?
Dude, great, way better. It was like out of necessity, but like we just like learned to love each other again because it's, as you know, in the music business, like I was gone 150, 200 dates a year, you know, and that's hard on a relationship. That's really hard. So it was good. It was a good break. And I feel like we just fell in love again. It was nice.
We talked about the songwriting, and I know you've got some new music coming out. I know you've been real excited about it, been spending some time in the studio. And Raleigh, tell us about the upcoming tunes that you got coming.
Man, my dog is going crazy. Oh, of course he would do that. he's going nuts. Okay. I'm really excited about new music, man. I've been working with Ryan Gore, who's been kind of co-producing this stuff with me, and he works with John Party, and he produces Old Dominion, and has worked with a bunch of different people, Casey Musgraves, and love him. And that's been really fun. But I've released 4 songs so far, and I guess this comes out tomorrow, right? So a week from today, which will be Friday, April 23rd, my next song from this record called Easy on the Trigger comes out. And I'm really excited about this one because it's like, it's hard for me to find a super, super upbeat song that I really like. And this one's fun because it just makes you dance. And I don't know, man, I'm really excited about it.
Yeah, what is it about? I'm kind of the same whenever I sing. I always tend to sing the slower ballad types. What is it about those that you tend to go to?
Oh man, because I'm a sad boy at heart, and I just love songs that mean something, and I love I am so sorry about my dog. If you can hear him, I don't know why.
Problem.
I don't understand what he's doing. So, man, I just gravitate towards that stuff. Like I grew up listening to John Mayer. I think John Mayer does a lot of that stuff. And that, I don't know, man. I just like, if you looked at my playlist, it would be like either super duper upbeat songs or like really sad boy stuff.
Now, what has been the one thing that has really kept you going? I mean, we talked about the ups and the downs and trying to find the inspirations, but what has been the driving force behind you this last 12 months?
Man, that's tough. And I think this is going to sound cliche, but it's the truth. It's the music. Like it's the creating new music and like the desire to share that with the world that just keeps me going, you know? And, because like, it would just be way easier to get a different job and like, just so much easier to like, just start a business, whatever. But like, it's in my blood, man. I got to get this music out there. I have to do it. I wouldn't have it any other way, you know? Well, I would. It would be a lot easier. But
but does that make you appreciate the process whenever it comes to finality? Like for next Friday, you've got a date in place. Does it make you appreciate that just that much more?
Yeah, when I'm a super honest person, so I'll just be honest with you. Yeah, like when I'm in a good headspace and good, you know, I'm being healthy and treating myself well, exercising, all that stuff. Like, you know, I have the right perspective, then I'm super good to go and thankful and grateful. And I enjoy the journey. Like for example, yeah, a week on April 23rd, this song comes out. I've been sitting on this song for like, I don't know, 7-8 months, you know? So it's finally coming out.
And with your lack of patience, man alive, I don't know how you've been sitting on it that long.
Oh gosh. Well, it's not always up to me, but, you know, with nowadays, it's kind of like the music business has changed a lot. And I think, there's less albums released at once, and there's more like tons of single rollouts into albums. And I just think it's not like somebody was like, I would love to do it like this. It's just like now we are like subject to algorithms and, you know, all these rules online. So I think that's why I've been sitting on these and like trying to promote singles. But I mean, it's fun. It's still fun, but it is hard. It is hard to wait. You know, it's hard to wait 7-8 months sitting on a song. And some of these were finished, gosh, like a year ago. That I've got like 13, 14 songs, probably 13 coming out on this album. And only 4 of them are out. And some of them have been done since, February 2020. Yeah. Crazy.
Process is taking a little bit longer is what you're telling me.
Oh man. hurry up and wait, man.
Now, what kind of goals do you set as you look forward to the album release, the single release, and also upcoming opportunities to get out there and play live as well?
So yeah, man, I'm really looking forward to this album. One of the highlights for me is I'm finally going to get to share my adoption story song with my audience and with the world. And that's kind of like one of the feature tracks on this album. And I'll get to tell that story. And man, I'm really excited for that. But as far as playing, I mean, I hope by this summer, I think people are getting their vaccines and like things are opening up. You know, I mean, also at the end of the day, like if we don't go back to playing, like there's not going to be a music business to come back to. So I think that's kind of where we're at. And I think I'm really excited, man. I'm excited to get this music out there and get back on the road and play.
Well, we look forward to it too. And Raleigh, I always want to make sure, and we talked about the socials and all that, where our listeners can keep up with the releases and all the socials, tour dates, all that as it becomes available as well. Yeah,
you guys can find me anywhere at Raleigh Keegan, and it's spelled like the city, North Carolina. So RALEIGH Keegan, KEEGAN. And that's my handle on every social media. And you can find me on Spotify and, of course, Apple Music and all of that as well.
All right. Well, Raleigh, always great to visit with you, my friend. One of these days we'll get to see each other face to face again. Look forward to that as well.
Yeah, man. I can't wait for that.
Thanks for joining in on this 63rd episode in Season 2 of Good Questions with Cameron Dole. If you ever have a comment, a question, maybe anything else you'd like to know, you can hit me up on the contact page at gqwithcam.com. You can also find me on all the socials, Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at gqwithcam. If you'd like to help out in the funding for this podcast, feel free to click the shop tab at gqwithcam.com/shop. And if you have a special guest you'd like to have on, email me gqwithcam@gmail.com. Well, thanks again to Shelly and the gang at Smiley's Breezy Vapes for helping support the podcast for today. Also to our good friend Brandon Allen for coming up with the theme music. We're going to let him play us out and hope you guys have a great weekend.